Good evening, everyone. We'll go live in next 4 minutes. We'll start in 9 p.m. sharp. Hello, good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is safe and doing great. And in today's topic, we'll try to understand the Uipath test suite and how does it work actually. Of course, this topic can't be covered in one session or in a day. So we will divide this particular topic in different segments and we'll cover them one after the another in upcoming days. So let's get started. In order to understand today's content, we have divided it into subcategories as introduction to UiPath test suite. We will try to understand what is UiPath test suite, and after that, we will see what and all are the components of a UiPath test suite. And after that, we'll explore with a code how exactly does it work. So let's get started. UiPath test suite is basically a solution from UiPath which serves two purposes. It combines the testing capability of an application and of an automated workflow of a process. So it means that we can test either an application also or a particular workflow what we have developed like as the automated process. We can test that one as well. So this combination of this application testing plus RP testing gives us UiPath test suite actually. And as a second point in this content, let's see how many components are there in UiPath test suite. So basically there are four components in UiPath test suite. The first one is Uipath Studio Pro. So this is basically a designer thing where we design our code and or the test cases. So it allows us to automate test cases by leveraging UiPath production grade automation capabilities. And in order to use testing activities in Studio Pro, we need to install uipath.testing.activities package. The second component is an orchestrator. So it helps us to schedule, monitor, or distribute test execution and analyze detailed results actually. And the third component is of course UiPath robots. We all know that it helps to execute the automated test cases. And in order to execute test cases, we should have a bot in orchestrator with a license testing. It should be a testing license robot actually. And the fourth component, of course, the test manager. It is a new component we can say. Of course, studio, orchestrator, and robots we all know about. There are a little bit difference here, but of course, the test manager is completely new thing here. So test manager, it is basically a web-based interface which gives us comprehensive test planning, the reporting, and the requirement traceability. It can easily be integrated with different tools like Jira, SAP, or any other tools maybe to import the test cases directly to the test manager. So it means that suppose before this UiPath test suite, there will be many companies who are testing their applications or the process. So they will have already their own test cases written down somewhere in their system, right? So most of the companies they will write their test cases in Jira, for example. So if they already have test cases in Jira, so when they start using UiPath test suite, do they need to write those test cases again? No. So they can directly integrate their Jira with the test manager and import all those test cases and perform further jobs actually. Of course, this integration can happen on the based upon the API calling. And now let's move to Studio Pro, where we will learn how to create a test case basically. Okay, so we'll now directly we will go to Studio Pro, and let's go to Studio Pro. I'm just going to come here, and yeah. So this is basically a Studio Pro where you get an extra feature, this test automation here. By opening this test automation, you can directly start automating the test cases for a particular process. Or else, once you already have a process, okay, where after the where you can create the test cases actually directly from here. So there are basically two kinds of test cases we can create. So for example, let me uh, okay, open any process. Let it open. So for example, we have written down one particular this one application we have taken today. Okay, so for this right now we have this particular code. For example, we'll take. Okay, so for this particular thing, automation code, if we want to write a test case, there are two kinds of test cases we can write down. If you go here, Okay, you get two kinds of, one is test case and another one is data driven test case. So what's the difference between a normal test case and the data driven test case? A normal test case where we have only one kind of condition to check, only one data to pass and check. So we can use test case to just check that particular parameter, whether my application or the code is working fine or not. Data driven test case, it helps us when we have to iterate multiple data to test whether those data may be of different kinds. So in that case we use data driven test case here. And for in today's topic, we will only focus on normal test case so that we can understand it in better way. Data-driven test case we will explore in upcoming sessions, and even the test manager and orchestrator part also we will explore. We will not explore today. And yes, and the test manager is a paid version as of now. There are no community version available for test manager actually. So this is, now we know that how to write a test case. Another thing is, if we another way to write a test case. Suppose this is my code, and if I want to write a test case for this particular code, I can directly just select this one, go for right click, and we can go for a create test case. And if there are a chance, if we directly want to convert the actually case into a test case, we can go for this particular option just below to it, convert to test case. So what happens basically, if I see just now I clicked on convert test case, and this particular has been, this logo has been changed. So if I again, if I want to convert to a normal workflow, again I need to do the same thing. Okay, and if I want to create a test case, normal, now suppose I have already written down one test case here, but let me create another thing, another test case just to explore. So I'll just take this particular thing. Now, yes. So the moment I have clicked on test case, now let me give this name as test case demo. Anything, any test case you can name, you can give as per your requirement. So the moment I give this thing, it gives us this particular code into a different framework, where this particular framework is divided into three sections. Where the first section is given, the second section is when, and the third section is then. So what is this given, when, then structure? Given is a particular area where we define a condition, means on which condition we want to trace our code actually, or what do we expect kind of thing. When means once we have decided the conditions, okay, after that in when part it executes. So now whatever the execution happens based upon your given part and when part, you can compare them here to test your particular case whether it has been passed or failed. So if you want to compare a test case, of course you should have one this an activity called Uipath testing dot activities. So I already should have it. If not, then just check the particular activity. It should be, yeah, Uipath dot testing dot activities. Right now I just if I want to install it, just let us see. The moment we install this particular package, we will get three different activities. What are these? I'll just explain. Just a second. Yeah. Now let me search with the verify. This verify particular thing, when if you type verify or verification, you get three examples here. Okay, three activities: verify control attribute, verify expression, and verify expression with operator. So based upon these three activities, we can test our conditions whether we are able to, our test cases has been passed or failed kind of. So how does it work? Now let me just explore it here. Here, as the name itself says, verify expression with a operator, means with a particular example, in one particular variable you can pass here, and another particular parameter you can pass here, and you can compare. Of course, you may have different things. So based upon that, if you can decide whether your test case has been passed or failed. And the another one is verify expression, where you have only to pass one particular expression And yeah, let us see, where you only have to pass one particular expression. So of course, when we pass the expression, the output is going to be a boolean. So based upon that, you can decide whether your test case has been passed or failed. And the third one, of my opinion, is the most powerful. Verify this on control attribute, where it gives you a chance to whatever you want to do here. Either you can drop another activity here, or inside this particular activity, of course, you can, if it allows you to drop an activity, of course, you can drag an entire workflow as well. So based upon your requirement, what do we want to achieve, we can design here, and after that we can just compare whatever the thing, whatever we have condition passed here in given part, whatever we can pass here, that particular parameter we can pass, and we can compare whether our test case is going to be pass or fail. Based upon that condition, we can take decision. So now just let me delete this. And yes, for today's example, what we have done here is, I have already written down a code, okay, just to explain, because if we'll start writing the code right now, it will take longer time. And as right now we are exploring UiPath test suite here today, so I assume we already know how to write a normal automation code. So for that, with that assumption, what I have done here, I have already written down one code here, and I'll just explain it properly. So what is this used case? As a, for example, today, what we have taken here is, I have just taken this particular application we all know about, right? We all have done normal our test cases, okay, or normal automation on this particular thing. So we have just taken this particular application for use case today's use case, and if I pass, after that, what we are going to do after logging in into this particular application, we'll pass few data here, okay, and we will find out this total deposit. We will get those values, and after that, the same amount we will, what we'll do, we'll go to this withdrawal part, and we will pass this particular value, and we will just extract those value, just pass those value here. So this particular, this all these three process we have divided into three parts. One is login, the second part is depositing the amount, and the third part is withdrawing the same amount whatever we have deposited. So what we have done here, let's go, and yes, just a second. I have written down one another file where whatever the data what we have to pass. Okay, so these are the values. For example, we are passing these values today, okay, in that particular application, and we are, after passing these three values, cash in, cash out, honest check and not honest check, we are expecting this particular value. So knowingly, for understanding today's case, actually, this UiPath test suite, how does it work, what I have done here, this particular value, this 100 and 500, knowingly I have kept wrong actually, okay, and after that we'll compare whether we are going the exact value or not. If no, so for example, we are expecting these values, so if we are going to get exactly these values, my test case will be pass. If not, then it should be fail. Okay, so for understanding purpose, knowingly in this particular test data, these two values 100 and 500 we have kept as a this a wrong value, so that it should give us a fail. And yes, just let's go to the code. So again, what we have done here, so they see how this UiPath test suite, this test cases allows us to work like, either I can, so this particular entire process is divided into three different segments, right? Three different codes. So in real time also, one particular code, they will be divided into different subcodes, right? So in that case, whether we want to test one particular code, okay, one particular scenario, or the entire scenario, so both we can do as per our requirement. So how does it work? Let us see. So here I have divided this particular code, okay, into three different parts: logging in, depositing, and withdrawing. So these three codes, if I want to test this particular only value, okay, so let's go one by one. So if I want to go for this login part, so now, what we have done the same, or now it is just a normal code just to log in, okay, to that particular application. We are going to log in here, and after that, we will decide based upon, suppose if we are going to log in, if we have entered the user ID and password and clicked on logged on, and then it should come on this particular page. So what we have done here, for example, we have taken this particular value as a element, whether I should get this particular element. If I am able to find out this particular element, then my logging part is successful, and if not, then my login part is not successful. So now see, just try to understand this particular concept here. This is very much important. So you will have to understand whatever the test case you are going to write down. In that case, whatever the parameter is going to be a deciding factor that this particular test case is going to be passed or fail, that particular parameter we need to define in our code as an argument. Because what happens, just now we saw that, right? When we create a test case, it is in here, it imports them, right? It imports as a argument, right? So in that case, there should be some values, right? So just for that purpose, what we have done here, we are going to particular phase that particular value is there. Okay, so just leave it. I have created another one. So after logging in this particular code, what I have done here, we are going to find out that whatever the element is going to decide whether my login is successful or not, that particular parameter I have created as an argument, and that particular value I am passing it as in inside another variable in this particular, because this test case is also a kind of test workflow only, right? So whatever the information is going to be passed from this particular code to this particular code, it should have a variable so that it can contain that particular information, right? So in the same way, uh, we have designed the depositing part as well. So let us see. Depositing, this code is here. For depositing, the code is here, and the test case what we have created is here for that particular parameter. And in the same way for the withdrawing part as well. In the withdrawing part as well, we have the same way. Okay, whether based upon that particular scenario, where whatever the information we are going to extract, which is going to be a deciding factor whether my test case is going to be passed or fail. Okay, that particular parameter we have to design them as an argument so that it can pass the data information from one place to another place. So these are the subcodes. What if we want to test the entire code at one time? So can we do that? Yes, of course we can do that. How to do it? Let us see. For that, another one is this one, e2e into int. I have written down here where I have called all these three as a argument. Sorry, workflow. Okay, so these three means this login part as well, depositing and withdrawing also. So here also what and all the other parameters are going to be, okay, which says that okay, this particular data has been passed or failed. Okay, so based upon that we are going to design, okay, these arguments either in out or kind of. So because why we have created, we depends upon the scenario, we will have to take decision whether the argument direction should be in out or in kind of. Because see, if I have to pass only login part here, okay, in that case what will happen, For this, I can give only out. But suppose the same code is going to be used in another code and that code has to get tested. So that particular parameter, this information again has to pass to that another workflow. Means from one workflow to another workflow and from another workflow to third workflow. That is going to be a test case actually. So in that case, it has this value has to be in and out both. So based upon the requirement, you will have to decide whether your argument's direction is going to be out or in out. Yeah. Okay. So now let us execute and see how does it work. So we will start with the first one, login part only. And into the complete, we'll see in the last. It is just a normal workflow, so that's why I have already created it so that we can explain this particular code in a better way today. So now if I let me close this one as well. Okay, now let's go to the login part. Now if I'm going to execute this particular information, I'll just click on debug file. By the moment I have clicked on debug file, it is going to this particular. Okay, it has just opened. Let us see. It has executed. If I go to output, here it says verification has been passed. Now let's go to the test code. Okay, this test case where what I have done here, I have given element 1. I want this particular element, once it is logged in, I want that particular element to be true. One, okay, I should get that particular information. I want, if login successful, then I should get that particular element, that and that element what it is going to be passed from the code. Okay, and it is a coding part where element 1x where I have given this is just a variable which contains the information whatever being passed from this login code actually here. And after that, in then part, what we have done here, we have just verifying it with a operation. So I wanted true, right? My expectation is if login is successful, then this one should be true. Element 1 it contains the information true, and element 1x it is containing the information which has been passed from this login code actually. So if suppose now if login is not successful, then for this particular element 1x it will not be a true, it will be a false. So I'm expecting true but it appears as false. In that case, my this particular scenario will be false, right? This one it will be fail. But now I'm expecting true and this one is also true. It means that my test case has been passed. In the same way, this is login part is it is saying successful. This element 1 x with the value true was equal to the expression element 1 with the value true. So express element 1 I was expecting true, and this element 1x it contains the information after logging in as a true. So both are matching. So it means that based upon this particular information, we can conclude that okay, my test case has been passed. So this is for just for understanding purpose, we have taken this particular example. Based upon the code's requirement, you may have different parameters. You will have to choose accordingly. Now let us go for this particular part. Let me, one part was only one, let me just, let us close one because one was already opened. Okay, now if I go to the second code, means login is done. Now we'll test the depositing part, whether it works properly or not. So let's go to the deposit part. And in depositing part, what we are going to do, let's go to the code. Here I'm just reading that particular Excel file. Okay, and after that we are passing that particular information, okay, inside of for each row activity, and we are extracting few informations as well, and we will write those data back to the Excel file. So as I showed you the Excel file. Let's open it again. So here, what we are going to do here, this transaction number and account number, we will extract, okay? And the tool total, whatever the total value will be there, we will extract those values here, okay? So just let us go to the code. We are extracting those values, and after that, we are writing those values into the same Excel file, okay? And accordingly, if that this particular page is available for this particular page verification also, we have taken down the same element which says that okay, my this withdrawal page is available, right? So that particular information is also being captured just for understanding purpose. We are capturing this particular element. If means if my deposit page is available, in that case I should get this particular element on my page, and for this information again I will pass this one as a argument. And in that case, that same argument we will compare in the test case whether it is going to be true or false, and based upon that we will take decision. So now if I just open this, it's test case, and let's execute first and see the result of it. Let it execute. Whatever the values we have entered into the Excel file, the same data is being passed to the workflow. Yes, so this particular execution has been done. So if I go to the top of this particular page, it says this particular activity has been completed 100%. So it was not stopped in between some anywhere. And if we go to the output pane, again the same expression what we were expecting it, the deposit this element, and whatever the value it has been extracted from the code, both are true. Based upon that we can take decision that okay, this particular test case has been passed. And on another hand, the same way what we have written down in then part is, let's go to the test case and see here. In given, we have defined this condition that I want this particular element to be true, and again the same information what we are going to extract here, okay, that particular same information we have passed this particular value here. And after that, in then part, in element 2x, we are only going to just compare whether my element 2x is equal to the deposit element or not. So if they are going to match it, on based upon that condition we can say my test case has been passed. If not, then we will have to say that okay, the test case has been failed. So this is the second scenario, the depositing part. Let's go to the final part. Now if you want to see the Excel file, now see, it has extracted these values. So of course this is the limitation of this particular application, that this particular information does not get changed actually. So every time it will have the same account number, and the transaction number will keep on changing. Account number is going to be the same. So it's just an whatever the information is available on the screen, that it is extracting, nothing else. Okay. And let's go to the third scenario now, where we are going to just withdraw the same amount, whatever the amount we have extracted, that is deposited, that is nothing but this tool total, means this is the amount which has been captured from this application after filling all this data. So now if we go to the code, let us, yeah, with drawing part. Let's open this code. This code is also as simple as just we are only going to to pass whatever the tool total in the Excel file just to that particular tool, nothing else. So now let's open its test code. This is test case here. Here again the same way. In the 10 part, I'm going to just pass this information and I'm going to just compare it whether my test case is pass or fail. So these three are just for understanding purpose. Okay, in that part we have right now we have only one activity, but based upon the requirement we may have different activities, and after that you will have to take ultimately this decision whether your this data is matching or not, and based upon that we will have to take decision. Now if we execute this particular test case, let us debug it. It is filling out the same data here. Yes. Now if we see the output of it, same as login or deposit code, here also I have just passed one only example like expression to decide whether this particular withdrawal page was available or not. So it is basically a kind of the application testing, whether whatever the page I am going to work on, whether that particular page is available or not. So we are just checking those parameters and we are deciding whether this test case is passed or failed. So both are true here as well again. So this test case is passed. Now ultimately let's go to the end to end where we will see it in more detailed way. If we want to test this end to end, means all these three together right now for individually login part, depositing part and withdrawing part, we had designed a test cases individually to check only those particular parts. Okay, even based upon here also in this code we may have as many as test cases we want, what and all the parameters we want to check, we can design, we can write down those many test cases here. And in the same way now in end-to-end test case, if we want to test all this data here, so if we look into its test case here, what and all things we are going to define here, whether my login part was successful, whether the deposit element was coming, deposit page was successful or not, and the withdrawal page is successful or not. And based upon that, after some time, after doing the performing this data or this all this data, we want to verify, just a second, whether this particular information, okay, whatever the data on this value were passed to the tool and whatever the value were extracted, we want to compare whether these data are matching or not. If matching, then we'll write down here this test case is passed. If not, then we'll write down here failed. So as I said in the beginning, for knowingly for testing purpose, knowingly I have kept this 100 and 500 as a wrong value here, so I should get failed here because these data are not going to be matched here. This 100 is not equal to 349, so of course it is going to be failed. So how does it work? So now just understand this particular thing here. Now for these three expressions, for login part and for depositing part and for the withdrawing part, I'm just comparing all those values whether I'm expecting them to be true. If they are coming as true, then that particular test case should be, I'm expecting them as a true. So if whatever the information are going to be passed from the code to this particular test case scenario, if they all are matching, in that case I can say my test case is passed. If not, in that case we can say that okay, the test case has been failed. So in that part, it's not like we have to pass only one activity there. Whatever the requirement is, we can pass it. So for that particular Excel file, what we have done here, we are just comparing those values here with operator, and based upon that, we are going to decide whether my test case is passed or failed. So I'll write down the same information, passed or failed, into the test case, into the Excel file. So now let us run this. And before that, I'll just delete this data again, whatever the extraction has been completed. Okay, let it be execute from the scratch. I'm closing this particular Excel file, and of course let's not get confused, so I'm going to close other test cases. Right now, till now, what we have done, we have tested our this one codes individually. The entire this complete test code may contain our codes into different subtopics, right? But we may have to extract the test our cases individually or all together. So for that purpose, let us see. Just a second. Let it, yes, I'll close this one as well. So now I have only this into test case which contains the entire code, means login part, depositing part, and the extraction or the withdrawing part as well. Okay, so now the test case what we have written here, if I go and debug and let us see. First it will execute the login part. Now deposit part is going to be executed. Now after it, the withdrawal part will execute. Let it execute. Yes, execution is completed. So now let's go to the output pane. Let it get completed first. Yes, execution is completed. So now let's go to the output. And yes, now we can see here, right? First three are for the login parts, withdrawing parts, and the so depositing parts and the withdrawing parts, where we are going to compare whether that particular element is existing or not. If existing, in that case, these three cases are passed. And now, of course, here it is. Just, yeah. So first three cases are then deciding that okay whether this login part, depositing part, and withdrawal part are successful or not. So it says that okay all the element for logging, withdrawing, and deposit, they were found true. So my test case has been passed. Now let's go to the Excel file and see the output. We will compare it. Now yes. Now let us minimize it. Okay, and let's go to the code. And we'll compare it. Okay. Now for this test particular purpose scenario, my 268 is matching with 268, means whatever there is information it extracted from the tool, and I was expecting the same amount here as well. So it compared both, and based upon that it has written down this one test case has been passed. And for the second value, as I said, I have kept it knowingly wrong value. The actual value is going to be something else. I'm going to, from the tool we are getting 349, but we are expecting 100. So it's been failed here. So in the same way here for this data. The first value 268 to 268, it was matching, so it was passed. But for the second data, for this 100 is not matching with the 349, so it is going to be fail. So this particular, based upon this particular information, we can say the test case has been passed or failed. So for all these values, the same way, these values are matching, so passed. Again 500 is not matching with 190, so it's been failed. And the 978 is matching with 978, so it has been passed. So this is how we can decide, we can say that okay, whether my test case is passed or failed. So this is all about how to write a normal test case. About the data driven test case, we'll see in upcoming days in some other topic. Okay, and if we want to link a test case to the test manager, from here you need to do. So first what we will have to do here, you need to select it and you need to click on set as publishable. The moment I have clicked this one as set as publishable, its color has been changed. And after that, what we can do, we can go to the link to the listen test manager. It is okay. So if I write down this way, of course this test manager I will not be able to show it right now, but after passing your test manager's link here, you can link your test cases to the test manager, and whatever things we have done right now using Studio Pro, you can execute those test cases and get the same information in your test manager as well. And the same thing from the orchestrator as well, we can do. Means from the orchestrator, after executing those test cases from the orchestrator, you can see the logs whether the test case has been passed or failed. You can get the information, you can, based upon that we can say whether my test case has been passed or failed. So this another way as a test case, as I said, data driven test case, and how to execute a test case from an orchestrator, and how to this one maintain a test manager, means how to you report a defect, how to execute a test case from test manager. We'll see in upcoming days, and those will not be get covered today because we'll cover all those topics in segment ways. So that's all from mine today. I hope you might have gained some knowledge on it. Please do write if you need to know something in the comment section. We will answer those questions. Thank you all. Thank you everyone, and thank you especially to my automation squad team.